Welcome to Promo Kitchen's newest educational series, Meet Us in the Kitchen. The kitchen is where industry leaders and independent minds come together to whip up a feast of fresh ideas. The volunteers at Promo Kitchen are thrilled to serve you a brand new educational series that's packed with relevant bite-sized insights and actionable strategies. Join other promo pioneers and watch these merch misfits spice up the conversation. All right, I get excited every time when the tech works and I'm surrounded by smart people. Thank goodness. This is such a great morning for me. I'm excited to be talking with people who are in the kitchen. And a quick reminder, this is a Meet Us in the Kitchen episode. And today's topic is going to be spicy and interesting and insightful. And I know we're going to deliver some greatness here because the guests that we've assembled, thanks to Kate, because we're in Kate's kitchen. Kate, how are you today?
I am doing great. These are some of my favorite friends, so I'm really excited that we're all hanging out together today and can talk about something that is near and dear to my heart.
Indeed it is, and that's why you are leading this topic. That's why you have assembled this dream team. Of course, I'm going to let you guys talk about yourselves for just a minute, introduce yourself, but this topic is huge. It's all about the next generation. It's all about where is this generation? Where are they? How do we find them? How do we recruit them? How do we love them? How do we bring them into the island of misfit toys and print, promo, and apparel? And so I know you guys have some great insights there, and I can't wait to hear from them. But Kate, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Yeah, so I appreciate your hosting this, Jay. Jay and I are buddies from Promo Kitchen. We are on the board there together, and I had the great privilege and honor of connecting with this creative community of beautiful, beautiful minds about a year and a half ago. It's been such a joy. In my day life, I work at PromoShop as the president, and I run the recruiting initiative for next gen engagement and building solutions for our teams to make sure that we're connecting with next gen talent, but also creating spaces for them to expand and grow and celebrate their excellence so that we can learn from them as well.
That's an awesome intro. Kate, president of PromoShop, who is, you are in the space. This is why you're here. You are literally the perfect person to have this conversation with.
You're very nice.
Well, I go where the winners go, so that way I can at least associate. Hopefully something will rub off. But Victoria is also here. Victoria, I'm just going to say it. You look a little younger than me. That's all I'm going to say. It's not a judgy thing. It's just factual. We are thrilled that you are here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm not that much younger, by the way, but thank you. I've been with PromoShop for it's going for 10 years next year. So, yeah,
Congrats. That's huge.
thank you. Yes. So, yeah, I started PromoShop 10 years ago. I was at the front desk actually, and slowly but surely start moving up the ladder. And now I'm like working with one of the biggest team in the company, which is the Disney team. And I'm just happy.
Wow. That's huge. That's thrilling. I'm excited. Thanks for sharing.
Of course.
Congrats. PromoShop is lucky to have you, no doubt. And also representing the rest of the male team, Chris Perry. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is
Oh,
so cool.
listen, you are also one of our stars, shining stars, volunteer at Promo Kitchen. You're on our education committee. We're lucky to have you. And when I brought up this topic, you and I got on a side convo, and I was like, wait, oh my gosh, tell me more. So, Chris, give us a little backdrop, give us a little background, a little flavor. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I've kind of found a home in this industry. I just absolutely love it. I love the island of misfit toys. I never realized there was this whole industry over here of people that just like have fun every day. It's a pretty cool, special thing. And I've been part of Promo Kitchen for probably about 6 months now and absolutely loving it. And I have 3 kids, and yeah,
New
that's kind of
dad,
me.
by the
Yeah,
way. So,
new
shout out,
dad.
dad. Good
Yes.
job.
Yep. Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, listen, let's dive right in. We have such a great topic surrounded by great people who have wonderful perspectives. You may not hear from me as much. I'll try to keep the concepts going and maybe ask some redirection questions. But overall, I know that, Kate, you have a tremendous resource, a lot of wealth, a lot of experience. I'd love to kind of start with you in the framing of this. Like, why is this important? Why should we be paying attention to this topic? Why does this really matter for us in promo so much?
Thank you for setting me up for my passion project. Obviously, Jay, you know me well. So for me, I really see this as the umbrella strategy for how the industry positions itself to bend and flex, but also to grow and identify a presence that is forward facing, that is strategic, that is looking at our industry, as the global climate kind of constricts and we see lots of mergers, acquisitions, all sorts of different changes. The promo world really has taken on this marketing merchandise space. And there are people around us who have this brilliant wealth of knowledge, but we also need to recognize that our next gen consumers, our buyers, our clients, and our next employees are not my age, right? So the truth is that as we're recruiting, as we're selling, a lot of them are going to sometimes be even my kids' age. And if I'm not understanding what the brand value is, if I'm not speaking to what's most important to that generation in terms of hiring or recruiting workspaces or accessibility, engagement, ESG strategies, we're really not positioning ourselves in our own companies, but also in the industry to have a long life cycle that is relevant for our next level. And so we want to make sure that we're listening really, really carefully to that population. And for me, Victoria at PromoShop really embodies the spirit of growth and opportunity and development and joy and passion. And being able to watch her career grow is, for me, a testament to why this is such a high impact space.
Love that. And I loved seeing Victoria smile while you gave her a little bit of that little twinkle
Aw.
in the eye, a little warm, a little pull on the heartstrings and a little hum of the soul there. Soul started humming. That is such a great intro. And I love what you said, the umbrella strategy, and talking about this from the values and the engagement side, because it's true, it's real. The reality is, I resemble that remark. My kids are now the target age, both from the hiring, both from the consumer, both from, I have to remember that. And it's tough. I get into that grumpy old dad status often, and I'm not listening well. So thank you for those reminders. Great setup. Kate, we're in your kitchen, by the way. Any chips, salsa, some
There's
nachos?
always chips and salsa in my kitchen, right? My kids told me no more cooking, let dad do it. He's going to make all the food, and he always serves chips and salsa with everything.
Just be responsible for the adult beverages and the chips and salsa.
That's right. I bring juice boxes. That's what my job is.
I love it. Great. Okay, so let's get to Victoria. Victoria, tell us about this. Tell us a little bit about what did you feel or what did you think when Kate said those things about strategy, about values, about listening, about the next generation?
I think she's right on point because if we are not thinking about the next gen and what they're like their values, what they're thinking, what they wanna like consume, I feel like we're missing. It's gonna be a great miss on that. Not only because with like the gap between ages between the older generation and the newer generation, it's like different values. I feel like nowadays like younger people worry more about the world, like is it eco-friendly, how is impacting their future, because previous generations were not really thinking about that, and now we're suffering the consequences, right? So I feel like it's important that we as a promo think about those things, because it's just not just pens and trinkets, right? It's we gotta think bigger than that. And so I think it's really important that we are thinking about those things, like our consumers. Who are we hiring? Are we making a comfortable space for them to feel like, hey, we share the same values, we are the same people going to the same direction. But yeah, I think that's pretty important.
And was that, I'm just curious, can I follow up on that? Was that visible for you? Have you seen that happening at Promo Shop? I mean, do you feel obviously I don't want to turn this into a commercial for Promo Shop, but let's be real. We're here. You're talking about you. So what has your experience been? Have you started to feel that?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Promo Shop shares a lot about the values that I share. Kate is a great example. She's always moving forward to like have more environment friendly and everything we do, even from like the utensils in the kitchen, what's our carbon footprint, all these things that actually matter. But we not too long ago had a meeting with one of the PPI leaders, and we talked about how like recycling and having like items that are eco-friendly, that will have an impact in the promo industry, how the
Mhm,
promo
mhm.
industry is moving forward to be more in that category. So yeah, when I started working at Promo Shop, I saw a lot of the values. Younger, I was 23 back then, and a lot of things had changed during those 10 years. But it's always been, to a positive moving forward.
That's cool.
A lot of people has been hired since then. A lot of people younger than me. It's always they all share that, like, we have this like little family in Promo Shop, that it's good values, it's good environment, and that that they care about us. So that's important, that you
Well,
feel like
it
you're
shows.
valued.
It shows by the fact that if I'm looking for evidence, you're happy, you're smiling, you joined us today, first of all. You've been there 10 years. That's a lot. That says a lot,
Yeah.
really. And so kudos to you and your team and the drivers like Kate and others that are leading in that space. However, we also need to give some time to Chris. Chris, you have such a unique angle on this and some really cool insights and perspectives. You're dealing with this from a little bit of a different positioning point, but what do you think that's been said so far, and what can you add to this little conversation that's not so little?
Yeah, well, I just think it's so cool just hearing you two talk about this, and having it be such a strong piece of the value proposition, just the core of your company at Promo Shop. It's a really cool thing, and I agree. I think there's been a really, really big change just in like the dialogue in the industry and the discourse around sustainability and eco-friendly products, and not just pushing brand fill and elevating what we sell to our customers and offer to our customers, and really, really offering stuff that you would wear or put your kids in, or things like that. I think that's so important, and we all have to live that. And I think this topic's important because, like, for me, I didn't really know that this industry existed when I came into you know my working years. Like, I mean, I knew that there were print shops. I knew that people could buy promotional items, although I'm not really sure that I even knew what they were called. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And so I think, like, raising awareness for that and to try to get the best people in the industry is important. But yeah, so University Tees, we've been around for 21 years, and we're the leaders in the Greek custom apparel space. And so we have 600 college student campus managers located on 100 plus campuses throughout the country, selling t-shirts to sororities at their school and to other schools as well. Typically, we target sales and marketing students, and these are incoming young professionals who now have experience actually selling in our industry. They prospect, they conduct meetings, they sell, they earn commission. It's a sales role, and we train them as such too. And we have an infrastructure over the last 20 years that helps support that growth as a sales professional, really, to have that experience before they even enter the marketplace.
That is so cool. What a unique
It
perspective that
is
you have
cool.
literally hundreds, not just a
Yeah.
couple folks, but I bet that has just opened your eyes into this, something that Victoria said about the age gap and the different values. Can you see that? Is that a big piece of what your experiences are as you start the process with all of these folks every fall or whenever you do? I don't know. I assumed fall. That's probably wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just from business practices to the eco-friendly thing and sustainability and just what people care about. Absolutely. They keep me young and make me feel old at the same time.
Well,
That is such a great statement. I feel like I need to get a new tattoo. Like, that's gonna be my
wait,
like next
wait, a
gen
new one? That means you already have. Okay, that's.
Yeah.
I am
I'm
excited.
cool, Jay. I'm very cool.
You are super cool. Okay, your
Shrouded in
your level of
happiness.
your level of
So
coolness
cool.
just went way way past nachos and salsa.
That's right.
I
And I
love
just
it.
want to say thank you to Chris because, I mean, prior to your time, but I was a Kappa Alpha Theta at LMU, right? And
Yeah.
so I see what that looks like on campus when you have these future business leaders of America, right? Your FBLA teams who are coming in and doing a merchandise program for your, Greek life, whether that is, like Order of Omega, and you're talking about like honor societies, or you're talking about philanthropic events where communities are reaching back. That is such a powerful network. And I'm really impressed to get to know how you built that. That's such a cool thing that you do.
It's energizing to be around, to say the least. I mean, they're the lifeblood of our company. We have we have a workshop every year where we bring out the top ones to Cleveland and host them for a couple of days. And the passion that they have around sales and selling our product is just it's so cool.
May I ask you a question, Jay? I don't want to take over
No,
your.
we're in your kitchen. You're supposed to take over. You're the hostess. Let's go. Giddy up.
So I also think what I find with our population when I'm working in university classrooms or high school classrooms, I would guess it's the same for you, but this generation feels very powerful, not just about the product itself, but about the messaging and decoration. Do you find that as well with your student populations that are leading these initiatives, that they have a vision for how they want that merchandise to appear in their market?
I think so. We've always been very heavy on the design side and on just like the type of product that we sell, like comfort colors, right? Like it's a high perceived value piece, and it's an item that they wear and that their big wore and their big's big wore, right? And it's like, and it's something that gets passed down, and you want to keep that premium item for that premium feel, for that premium, just like the premium everything, the premium experience, really, right? Like, so I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I still have the sweatshirt that was passed on to me by my big sister, and my daughter wears it now. So we have like a legacy family, but it's such an important thing to talk about that value as a part of the sustainability initiative, right? Victoria,
Right.
you now work for one of, the largest accounts here. I think it's so impressive if you have a chance to share a little bit of your career path, because watching you develop yourself, your talent, your expertise over time, and I'm interested personally, and you don't have to answer any particular way, in what you find is most high impact in the next gen space. What do you love? What do you need? What do you crave in a workspace that helps you do your best work?
I think it's just the environment that I'm in. I think where you are, it's we're kind of like, I like to think that we're kind of like sharks, right? I heard that somewhere where like if you put a shark in a little tank, they don't grow, right? But if they're in the ocean, they just expand. I kind of want to think like that. If you're in a good environment, that's what helps me. It helps me grow. It helps me feel more confident in myself. It helps me like just flourish, right? Because I feel that I'm capable, that I have all the tools that I need to just go and just be myself and be a great support in my team. Yeah, I cannot think of anything else but just having like the right tools that, in this case, PromoChef has given me. I have gotten great support from Kate throughout the years. She's always been in my corner through thick and thin. And, that helps you to just feel confident in yourself. And just, I cannot say enough of that. But and another thing that has helped me is just stay focused on my own, what I'm doing, and just kind of like block what's around me, because the world can be just scary sometimes. I mean, we went through the pandemic, we went through a lot of like bad things, but I think it's just, if you just take care of yourself and just keep focusing, and you just have, good people around you, that really, really helps.
So
I
well said.
I
So well
love that,
said.
right, Jay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So Jay, to keep it a little spicy, Jay's thing in the kitchen is that we have candid conversations. And so that always makes me a little, I'm like, okay, let's be,
Candid.
perfectly
Yeah.
organized, but I love that you do this. So I think my perception is, and Chris, Victoria, Jay, I'd love to hear some of your perspective, but one of my spicier opinions is that one of the reasons it's hard to give people bigger tanks is because people like me who've been, doing my job a long time, Victoria can be intimidating, right? She's this brilliant, tech-minded, growth model. So sometimes I find leadership in my generation can get a little intimidated about giving people the bigger tank to grow and
Mm.
expand, about giving people a little bit of their power. Like, I'm handing over my vulnerability when I empower other people. And sometimes it's saying I was completely wrong, right? I'm completely wrong on something, or I
Mhm.
didn't value maybe a perspective that Victoria brings me that wakes me up. So we have to trust each other. She has to trust that sometimes I'm a little tough and she gives that over to me. And I have to trust that sometimes she's right and I'm completely wrong. But I think one of the reasons that maybe tenured leaders make a mistake is because we're afraid of sacrificing that power, afraid of letting go of some of our own impact, because it feels intimidating to
Yeah.
meet someone as fabulously talented as Victoria, right? My brain can start saying, oh my gosh, she's going to take my job. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to have a place here. Oh my gosh, I can't do much. So, and I think that vulnerability, it's important to know, yeah, Victoria could take my job one day. And I love that for her.
What do you think, Chris? What's your take?
I totally agree. I mean, I feel that at my core as like being a lifelong salesperson. When you step into leadership, you go from being like the star wide receiver on the team to being the head coach, and you don't get the headlines anymore, right? And it's that's a little bit different, and you have to be humble enough to understand that. There's a quote that I really like that's just that experience is overrated a lot of times. I think it's important, of course, right? Like there's wisdom in what everybody has done, and the collective years that people have put into this industry. And you should have mentors, and you should be a part of Promo Kitchen. You should learn from others, but also recognize that like they're really smart people that are building things every day. They're 17-year-olds out there building businesses. They're going to change the landscape of the world right now, and we're afraid to hand over and delegate to a 24-year-old who's has every skill and quality and characteristic possible to do the things that we weren't ever able to do.
So well said. I think it's changing a little bit, Kate. I hear you. I feel you. I know that spicy moment. I know that vulnerable feeling. I think that you used the word fear and afraid, and that's really at the root of this. And I would like to believe that we, Kate, in our generation, we are getting better at embracing that and having those discussions, having that dialogue, listening more, and recognizing that there's power in the team, and that we have at worst someone who may not be aware, and we can train for that, or someone that maybe doesn't have the experience, and we can train for that, like in that, in the tactical way they need to follow a plan, but they also have a creative approach. If we would be willing to let them just take it and say, how would you solve this problem, like without giving them the playbook. Like, let's just say you had to figure this out. What would you do? You don't have a playbook. You don't have the manual. You don't have the here's how Kate did it and follow these discussions and follow these guidelines. I think we learn so much. And I love what Chris said
Totally.
about, sometimes we overrate the experience, like, because I've always done it this way, this is the way we should do it. And I think it's the best leaders are breaking down those barriers, and you are,
I
and
agree.
both of you are definitely on that list.
Well, we look at like an Erin Riley, right, at Pop Promos. She is like a change maker, right? And so Erin leads very comfortably, and she challenges me all the time because she's significantly younger than I am, but she's also one of the bright, if not the brightest person in the room. But she's very humble about it, right? And she has great ideas, and she's pretty fearless about leaning into it. And she inspires me to, just like Victoria, to be okay with a little bit of vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
I still have value in what I provide, but I want to hear from that. And Jay, I totally agree. I think the best leaders, that's so well said. Maybe that's tattoo number 3. The best leaders are already, doing this and practicing this well and being honest about where it's uncomfortable or, fear filled.
Yeah, well, we can practice that, and through conversations like this and meet us in the kitchen, keeping it real, keeping it spicy. That's really, honestly, you're making me kind of feel like, yes, because that's what I hope would be happening, not just for us, but as the conversation ripples go out, that people can say, oh, it's okay to have this conversation. It's okay to bring it out, be open about it, and say, you know what, I don't know what your values are, and I don't want to pre-assume, because that's just going to make me look like an idiot. So
Hmm.
why don't we conquer this hill together? Why don't we conquer this mountain together? I don't know.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think? Because you're dealing, I am just infatuated with the idea that you're surrounding yourself with hundreds of 18 to 24-year-olds, and that you're seeing something that rarely is seen from the old school, over 50, not so chubby white guy. I'm not talking about myself, by the way. Um, what is your take on this? Are you feeling the same thing? Is that a
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it would be naive to think that like the way that I sold, 8 years ago is the way to do it now, because it's not. I mean, there's AI, there's software, like there's so many. Like the way I did it is not the best way to
point?
do it anymore. Like period. The way I did it is not the best way to do it, and I think a lot of us can look in the mirror and say that. And I also think that, like you said, we were at the SKU camp for Common SKU, and Steven Shedletsky was the speaker, and he was talking about the golden rule. We all know what the golden rule, but the platinum rule is treating people how they want to be treated, right? And I think Gen Z does have different values. Like they want to be paid. A lot of them treat work like work, right? It's not this hobby. It's not this passion project. Like they want to be paid and fairly compensated for the work they do, and I think that like as important as finding the next generation, it's supporting and coaching and training and being there to make sure that they can be as successful as they possibly can be. So, and again, I mean, even with UTs, you know, we only hire a few of those, and we graduate 150 campus managers every year, and you know, 10 to 20 of them are really, really good, and we wish we could take all of them, but we can't, right? We can only hire a couple of them, and you have to really pour into them to make sure that they're able to be the best that they can be.
Wow. Well, maybe Promo Shop's hiring, and you guys could do some little cross pollination here.
You're definitely getting a call, Chris. I think we have a lot of synergies here.
There we go. There we go. I mean, look, if for us to have our reps out in the field throughout the industry it's an amazing thing. Why not? Why wouldn't we want that, right? I think, I mean, they have experience. They've done this. They know what the terminology is on day one. I mean, you're talking 2 weeks of training that they already have, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks, 2 months, maybe more, a year. The
Yeah, right.
background's there.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Victoria, and without loading the question, what do you wish people listened to better? I'm really interested in, what are some things that maybe
Great question.
all of us can do better? And please answer honestly. Like, the goal is we have a lot to learn.
You mean like from the leadership team?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, from
I,
all leadership circles. What is one thing that you go home and you think, I wish people knew X, Y, and Z?
I think Chris touched a very important point about younger generations, that they are more like they want to get paid. They want to, like, job, my job is my job. It's not like I'm coming here for fun. I think it has to be from the leadership team, like, hey, this is the job and you're getting paid for this amount. I feel like, and based on my friends, younger friends, they just expect coming out of college to just be paid over like 6 figures. And it's just like so unrealistic sometimes, because they just think like, oh, out of college I'm gonna make so much money, and it just doesn't work that way sometimes. And I think it has to be very transparent from like who's hiring, right? Like, hey, this is the job, and like this is how much you be, like, like, I don't know. I feel like there's something, some discommunication with that sometimes, that they expect like so much more, and they end up having so much less, and they're unhappy, and you can see it. The job performance goes low, and or goes down, and they just like don't want to do it anymore. They're just kind of like, I'm just doing this for this little, like, why am I gonna put so much effort?
Yeah.
And so I just feel like it's, and then they're like this generation where like things are so quickly, right? Amazon, you order something, it's like the next day it's home. And I feel like they expect that. They expect like, oh, I'm just gonna do this and I'm just gonna grow and just be a salesperson the next day. And it takes time, right? Well, I feel like
Right.
we're little plants. It just takes time sometimes to just build your business, build your clientele. Like if you're going into sales, like, who are you targeting? It just takes time to build these things. And I feel like a lot of younger people, they're just like, no, I want it now. And I want to have big orders and I just want to have big clients. And it's just kind of disappointing when they don't have that. And I feel like going into sales for whatever kind, people like, hey, you gotta expect that can be slow. Just gotta be have a very open conversation. Be like, it can be slow. You're gonna have some rough patches, but hey, not all is bad. You can build from there. You cannot go lower than that. But yeah, I think it's very important to have this open, honest communications when hiring or mentoring or whatever the case might be, because it sets the bar as to what to expect, so they're not like expecting to choose
Yes.
the stars, and it's just the worst.
Such a good point. Like,
Yeah.
anyone who's listening to this, who's doing recruiting, Victoria's brilliance here. Like, let's not oversell our job. I think sometimes people try to make it out to be more than what it is. If we do that, we're setting our friends up for kind of failure, right? Like, some of it is data entry. Sometimes I hear people kind of hard recruiting the next gen group, and they're trying to tell them like, oh, you don't have to do a lot of computer work. It's like, well, of course you do. Some parts
Yeah.
of your job inevitably are not glamorous, right? But I think to Victoria's brilliance here, if we're not overselling and we're saying this is what it is in all of its glory and all of its whatever, that's a really great way to try to listen to what Victoria's given us today and do better by just being honest about it. And it's okay that it's a job, right? I think our Victoria, our next gen populations, they understand like it is a job. And for those of us who are in my generation, one of the things that I learned from Victoria and her friends in that generation is I can learn a lot from them. To Chris's point, we didn't do a great job negotiating for ourselves. We didn't do a great job talking about money and being comfortable with it, especially for my women in business. There's a lot of fear around that. And this next gen group is teaching me, hey, it is a job. Let's talk about money, right? And not in an aggressive, cranky way, but in an open way. And I really appreciate Victoria and Chris for bringing those things up because I think it's so important.
Huge. Great point. Yeah, well, listen, we've been on this for about 25-ish minutes. Many, many great points about the next generation. I'm so glad that all of you have shared this. Maybe we should start to wrap up. Is there anything else that either of the three of you would want us to know, to leave with, to be inspired by? Chris, why don't we give it to you first? Is there something there that you're thinking, man, I just got to get this point across? Whatever it is, from the recruiting side, from the nurturing side, from the growth side, what would you like us to know more about this strategy, this next generation?
Sure. The one thing I would say is that most of the campus managers who now work at HQ, most of them were in our internship, right? A lot of them were campus directors, which is a leadership role on their campus, because a lot of our campuses have multiple campus managers. So a lot of them were campus directors, and a lot of them were interns. And I think if you don't have an internship, I think that's a great place to start, right? You can work with your local colleges and universities. You can start an internship. We just launched a spring internship where we're actually offering a college credit to our interns, and we give them trainings and webinars and X amount of hours they have to put into it to get that credit. And we're getting them into our ecosystem longer. And I think that's so important. And it's something that I think most businesses a lot of them are probably doing it and might be able to do it better. And if you're not doing it, I think it's something that you can press go on.
That's a great suggestion. That's a great on-ramp. I think that would maybe there's a future webinar. I don't know about a future tattoo, Kate, but maybe there's a future webinar waiting for us with what Chris just said about figuring that out, that onboarding process, that internship process. Because I think there's a lot of people who would do it if they knew how to do it and if they had somebody who's been there before. So super cool point. What about you, Victoria? What's something that we all need to know? This is a really important topic. You've got hundreds of people that are going to listen to this, maybe thousands. I don't know. I shouldn't sell this short, right? Kate, you said something about FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, whether that applies to the Greek system or not. I love that acronym. I look at Victoria and that's what I see. But what do you see, Victoria? What do you see as the future and related to this generation? How is it going to grow and how can we help?
I think, the future of promo, lies in the younger generations because the older generations are not going to be here for long. And I'm not trying to be dramatic and be like, oh, but it's true, right? Like a lot of people got to move on with their lives. Kids are growing, people get hired. And so younger, new blood is coming into the promo industry. And I think it's very important that they are heard, that they are, what are the expectations and, what are the values? Do they share the same thing? And if they're a good fit to the companies, I think that's very important because if there's no honesty, no transparency, I think it just sets it for failure because people are unhappy, performances are not great, and it just reflects bad on any company. And I think if anything I could say is just, just be honest and transparent to whatever the kid like it is, and vice versa, right? I feel like these kids need to be honest with themselves and just be like, what do I want from this? What do I need from this? So I think that's pretty much the only point that I would like to get across.
Great. Those are great insights. Are you kidding? That's awesome. Man, I get it now, Kate. I see it. Ding, there's the brilliance, right? Well, Kate, we're in your kitchen. You have so many excellent opportunities around this. Like you have a plan, you have strategy, you are in the trenches, you are walking the walk and doing the work here. So is there anything we should know? Teach us, give us some
Yeah.
action item, a call to action, something. What should our audience be doing next?
So I'm going to give you two things. One, Chris, I totally agree with you. If you're not working with your career development services on universities, and if we want to do a breakout session to get that going, I'm with you. We do that pretty consistently. It's very helpful. The second thing is, I think on both sides, right? On our next gen side, on my generation and above, we're all messy. We all make mistakes. We are humans. So there has to be a little bit of grace on both sides, right? Sometimes I think we get stuck in, well, the older generation isn't doing it. They're not flexible. And the younger generation wants A, B, and C. We can do away with all of that and find our best work when we are in really collaborative spaces where we all admit that sometimes there isn't a perfect answer. Maybe Victoria has the answer, maybe I have the answer, but talking to each other and being unafraid about both of us making mistakes, or sometimes saying, oh, you're right on that. I didn't love this. This was amazing, but these things can improve. Let's just do that together. And it makes it so much better.
Yes, yes, it does. Words of wisdom. You know what? Maybe not a tattoo, but I could see it on an apron. And all of you should have this apron because you've been in the kitchen and been so warm and so gracious with your insights and your gifts. It's refreshing. It's energizing, and I appreciate it so much. And I know our audience is going to love this discussion, and it's all because of you three. So thank you so much for joining me, joining Kate in her kitchen. Right, a little spicy conversation here. But can I share what I learned? I was listening, first of all, and the values and the gap. I think it was something that you said, Victoria, about the gap and the different values. And if we could have more conversations about that and in a strategic way and in a non-threatening way, like what you said, Kate, no one's right and no one's wrong. We're not trying to prove right and wrong. We're trying to find happy. We're trying to find a solution. We're trying to move forward.
Be
So
open.
be open. Yes.
I think that's a good one. Just be open, because for younger people, maybe what older people think is old school, but old school's not bad.
Hey, old school's cool. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. And then for younger, I mean, and then for, older people be like, oh, like this new technology, this new way of thinking, this AI stuff is scary. I don't want to do it that way. I just want to keep doing it the old way. And it doesn't hurt anybody to just progress a little. Just, little steps forward. It doesn't hurt
It
anybody.
hurts a little bit, but it's good. It's a good
It
hurt.
stinks. It's a good sting. It's for
It's
a
a
good
good sting. I
cause.
love it. It's so good. Well, we'll wrap up on that note. Be open. I was great words of wisdom again. So much fun. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for joining us. You three are fabulous in every way. If there's something that I would like to do as I wrap up and say goodbye is that how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to? Because this is the kind of conversation where I think somebody's going to want to talk to you, Chris, or you, Kate, or you, Victoria. So what can we do to make that happen? Should I put that in the show notes, or do you want to give a shout out to yourself? How can I find you later and keep this conversation going?
LinkedIn.
Bingo. Love it.
Yep. LinkedIn's great.
All of you are there. LinkedIn.
Love it.
Is LinkedIn too old, Victoria? Is it old school, or does it still fit?
Nope, it still fits. I think it's a good way to network.
It's a piece of the puzzle, right? It's not the only one, but it's one. Okay, love it. LinkedIn. So all of us are there. You can connect with all of us there. I love it. And until we meet in the kitchen again, have a fabulous day. Have a wonderful end to your holidays, whatever you celebrate. It's been great for me to celebrate with you here today.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you for having us in your kitchen. Those chips and salsa were delish.
Oh, good.